It's time now for Countywide, a special presentation of Yavapai Broadcasting News. Join Paul David and Jenn Cohen as they talk with our community's leaders, newsmakers, and people in the know. You'll hear about the hot topics that affect all our lives in Yavapai County. And now, here's today's Countywide.
Hello and welcome to Countywide. I'm your host, Jenn Cohen. Thank you so much for joining us. Today we're talking with Ben Kramer. He's firefighter, paramedic, and a car seat technician for Cottonwood Fire. We're going to talk about car seat safety. They're having a car seat clinic. It's coming up this weekend. It's a Saturday from 9 to 12 over at the Cottonwood station, which is on South 6th Street. Talk about car seats, all things car seats, the governor's the highway safety grant that does all it's the most amazing program. So let's talk about that. The governor's office of highway safety every year provides a grant for the fire departments to purchase car seats for people who may be in a financial challenge and unable to pick one up. They're expensive. Pick one up themselves.
Absolutely. The Governor's Office of Highway Safety offers grants to fire departments for a number of safety-related and road-related safety issues. So they do car seats, and they can do bike helmets, and they can do sometimes rescue gear for car accidents. And we've been able to be recipients of all of those types of grants, and this time Verde Valley Fire District worked hard to secure this grant. They received enough money to buy several hundred car seats to provide to the community of the Verde Valley, and they did that as kind of a regional grant for people in Cottonwood and Verde Villages and Clarkdale and all the surrounding communities to be able to have those safe car seats.
And that's great because they're several $100s a piece.
Yes. Your
child goes through at least 3 of them by the time they're now big enough that they can sit on a booster seat. So that adds up to folks, and if perhaps you're using the wrong seat because you can't afford a new seat, this is the car seat clinic is definitely something.
Yeah, we don't want the cost of a seat to ever be an impediment to somebody having a child secured safely in their vehicle. So.
That's true, and car seats are complicated.
They can be, yes.
There's all those straps, and then everything goes every different which direction. There's so many things you can do wrong.
Yes.
I looked up the top 10, and it's just the top 10 things you can do wrong. There's 40 of the things on the list.
Yes.
As far as that, and you must see a lot.
Yeah, we see usually about the nationwide average is that 1 in 20 car seats is installed correctly. So 95% are installed wrong. And that can be any kind of misuse, from the straps being too loose to it not being buckled safely in the vehicle, facing the wrong direction, wrong seat for the child. The child's not within the height or weight range. A lot of these are sometimes they're put in too tightly. Sometimes they're broken or misused, expired car seats. A lot of these are the misuses. And a lot of times it comes from parents not understanding all the components that go into securing it correctly. But people are trying to do their best job, and what we're able to do is take that seat and that child and that vehicle and try to make all those elements come together so that we can have them safely secured. But people come in all the time. They say, I've been driving around, I got this brand new car seat, and every time I go around a big curve, the child falls over in the seat, and that would be a pretty good indication it's not installed correctly. So we help people with that. If they have an existing seat or they need a seat, they can come by. They can come by during the event, or actually any time they can come by. We always have a car seat tech on staff.
Wow.
So
always have a car seat tech on staff.
Absolutely, yeah.
So if someone's driving around and they go, oh, there's the fire station, I should have my car seat checked.
Absolutely.
Just to see if it's in correctly.
Yes, yes. And we recommend that you have it checked at each time your child goes through a different stage. So rear-facing, forward-facing, gets a new seat, a new vehicle. All these are times that you should probably stop by and have it checked. And in general, just to make sure that it is installed correctly. The kids grow, and the seat will fit them differently during that time. So we're always happy to help with that.
And that whole age and stage thing with rear facing,
yes,
and what size seat and how big the kid has to be. I mean, every kid's different.
Absolutely.
At different ages, they can be different sizes and different weights, and there's a height and a weight and an age.
Yes,
limitation.
absolutely, absolutely. The biggest thing about the car seats are that they're fitting the child, and so Age is a less important factor for smaller children because absolutely, you know, a 3-year-old can be long and lanky, you know, or smaller, more compact. And so we want to make sure that it fits them. They have to remain in a rear-facing position for at least a year, and that's a bare minimum. But a lot of times they do better to stay in that rear-facing position for a lot of times up to 2 years. And that's going to be based on the weight of the seat, as long as it can hold them in that rear-facing position. A lot of infant carriers, the ones that people will recognize that have the handle on top that you can pick up and carry and then clip back in, those go up to about 22 pounds. But other rear-facing seats will go up to 30, 40 pounds in the rear-facing position. Once they're in the forward-facing position, they're going to be still using a 5-point harness, and then they'll eventually graduate from that into a belt positioning booster, which is going to use the regular adult seat belt and just position it so that the strap is hitting them in the shoulder, in the strong part of their body, the shoulder and the hips.
Right, not the neck.
Not the neck,
you see that
not the stomach,
kids. Yeah.
Not up here, not down here.
Right.
And state law says that people are going to be in at least a booster seat until they're 8 years old or 4 foot 9 inches tall.
Right.
So either one of those.
Which is tall for an 8-year-old child. I was that tall.
Yeah. Yeah.
But in general, most people are not that tall.
Yeah, but at 4 foot 9, what they're finding is that the seatbelt is normally going to hit them in the shoulder.
Yeah.
So that's when it becomes safe for them.
That is true. Remember the days without seatbelts, kids in the front seat, in mom and dad's lap.
Yes.
I sat in the jump seat in the middle, you know, on
That's
road
right.
trips with
That's
no
right.
seatbelt, and you know, things have really, really changed.
Yeah, a lot of times at car seat events, we have a lot of head scratching, and people say, well, you know, back in my day, we just threw them all in the back of the station wagon and they just rolled around. And I think a lot of people can remember that, you know, but as our safety increases, as we learn more and more, and I think that we're finding that car seats have a huge effect on mortality, morbidity rates among especially children. I think the use of a car seat can reduce injuries 50 to 70% in case of a car accident, and car accidents happen, low speed, high speed, etc. A lot of times people will ask us, can I still use my seat after an accident? And the answer is sometimes. And we kind of have a checklist that we go through about what those factors are, when it is still okay to use that seat.
Right.
So that's something that we can always ask, and they can call or they can stop by and we can talk about it.
Well, sure. Fender benders do happen all the time. And
Yes.
of course, then there's a severe accident, kind of like helmets.
Yeah.
You know, it's something, well, it could be compromised. You may want to change. And car seats expire.
Yes.
Which I think is really interesting.
Yeah, and that, a lot of people wonder about that. And what happens is, the explanation from the manufacturers is that over time, the plastic, which is the main component of most car seats, will degrade, and its strength is just not to the same standard that it once was. So the constant stresses of being in a vehicle, the forces that are put on it as you accelerate and brake, and from the belts that are holding it securely in the seat, those stress that seat over time, and it's just not as crash test worthy at that 7-year or 10-year mark.
Sure. Well, that makes perfect sense as parts degrade.
Absolutely.
Okay, all right. So Ben said earlier that at any time, of course, there is a car seat clinic this weekend on Saturday from 9 to 12 at the Cottonwood Fire Station on 6th Street. So if you want to check that out. Now, if you're driving around any day, you can stop in to any fire department or any police station and say, hi, I have a car seat. I need some help.
That's right. That's right. So fire and police and EMS agencies nationwide have become trained in car seat technicians. And if they're not doing it in their community, they should know who is doing it. So if you're traveling, you're in another state, and you just feel like this isn't right, or we got a rental car or something like that, you can always do that. We can also help people if they're planning on traveling and they need to find out about a seat to use in an airplane, or they need to use a seat in another way. Another common thing that people don't always think about is a grandchild comes to visit for a short amount of time. Sometimes we're able to help grandparents say, here's a seat that we can give you to use correctly, put in your vehicle for that several weeks over the summer, etc. So we can also help with those sorts of things as well.
Good to know. Good to know. We're going to take a quick break, but we'll be right back with more Countywide. We're going to continue talking with Ben Kramer, firefighter, paramedic, and car seat technician. Don't go away.
Do you feel like people are avoiding you? Don't be a dreaded spreader. Protect yourself and those around you from flu. Here's 3 things you should do. Get a flu vaccine each year. Take everyday preventive actions to stop the spread of germs, like covering coughs and sneezes and washing your hands, and stay home if you're sick. If you do get the flu, contact a healthcare professional right away and take flu antivirals if prescribed. Don't be a dreaded spreader. Take 3 steps to fight flu.
Most of us want to make some type of difference in the lives of others. St. Jude does miraculous work.
The fact that no one has to pay, it's a place where everyone is treated as an equal.
Everybody is welcome here, and it doesn't matter, your religion or, what part of the world you're from, that just sort of all that is taken away. It just gives you some hope.
Yo siento que soy parte de esa bendición que ese niño recibió al irse a su casa ya sanado.
It's just a nice feeling to put your energy into something that really does genuinely make a difference in a child's life.
There's just no greater gift. If we have the ability to help, then we have a responsibility to help.
Mandalay Homes introduces the new Ion Series, a revolutionary new approach to home building innovation and energy management. Built on a foundation of industry-leading energy efficiency and sustainable building practices, the Ion Series home redefines how we use and manage renewable energy. Contact a Mandalay Home sales executive today to learn more, or visit one of our Ion Series communities throughout northern Arizona.
I'm Jenn Cohen. We're talking with Ben Kramer, firefighter, paramedic, and car seat technician with the Cottonwood Fire. So we've been talking about their car seat clinic that's coming up on Saturday from 9 to 12. If you've got a car seat and you want to get it checked out, make sure that's properly installed. If you need a car seat, if your child is switching from one to another and perhaps, the finances aren't there to get another one, Governor's Office of Highway Safety Program has provided a wonderful grant. Hundreds of seats are available, which is really super. Now, people, I remember I went through many car seats. You go, oh my gosh, look at all these car seats. How do I know which one's the right one? Is there a buying guide for a car seat?
We get that question a lot. What's the best car seat? And I think what really makes us feel good is a lot of people say, what's the best car seat? Because that's what they want. Children are precious and they want to get the absolute best for them. And the answer isn't quite as simple. We can't point to a specific brand or make or model, because the best car seat for the child is the one that they fit in correctly. Mm-hmm. And so, of course, for newborns, that's one of the smaller rear-facing. A lot of times it's an infant carrier, etc. But it's also going to be the right seat that fits in your vehicle, because if the person driving an Excursion versus a Miata is going to need a different seat, and they're going to really have trouble. And we've seen that where people they go and they say, well, this one's the biggest, it must be the best, and they buy it, and then they come and they try to put it in their super compact vehicle, and we can't get it in that way. So it's the one that fits your vehicle, that fits your child, and that you can install correctly every time. And that's the biggest one. That's the one that we can help with. So once we've chosen the right seat that's going to fit the kid and is going to fit the vehicle, then it's teaching the parents how to put it in so that every time it's tight, it's locked in place, the straps are adjusted correctly, the harness is correct, and everything is safe on that car seat.
Sure.
So
nice.
That's what we usually tell people. Car seats come in different variations. A rear-facing only seat is a lot of times used in that very early stage. A convertible is one that can go from rear-facing to forward-facing. Combination seat is a booster seat that also has the ability to be a 5-point harness that sometimes can also be rear-facing. And those 3-in-1s are a popular option for a lot of families because they'll follow that child for a number of years and be a good seat that they're comfortable in, can be installed correctly. And then there are also booster seats, backless or no back boosters, and the parents will ask, well, isn't this one better because it has a back? Is this safer? And the answer is not necessarily. They're crash tested the same. And if a child understands how to use a backless booster correctly, and the adult understands how to make sure that's correct every time, they can be just as safe. They even have inflatable car seats that a child can keep in their backpack during the school day, and then when it's time to ride home with a friend's family that doesn't have a booster seat, they can pull it out and inflate it and use that, and that's another safe option. So there are a lot of creative solutions for keeping kids safely secured in vehicles.
That's interesting.
Yeah, and all of these are going to be better than a child who's not restrained or is double buckled with another kid or anything like that.
Yeah,
so we always want to help.
Okay.
Yeah, another big market, and we don't always think about this, but that we want to definitely provide seats to are those foster families who may have a surprise new family member, and we want them to know that 24 hours a day the fire department is available to help them with car seats. We'd love to give those to those foster families so that they can have the right seats for their children, because they might not be expecting a newborn and suddenly they're taking one into their home, and we want to make sure we're supporting that positive work. So
excellent. Excellent. Now, what's the deal on used car seats?
Used car seats, for a lot of people, that is something that they want to move to because the cost is lower, or they know somebody that has it, or it's available on Craigslist or eBay, etc. And we just want to caution people against them. There's nothing inherently bad about a used car seat, but there's some important questions we have to ask. So we need to know, do you know the history of this seat? So that's great if it's coming from a family member or a trusted friend who can say, oh, well, we had this and our child grew out of it. That's a great. But you don't want to go with a seat that you don't know the history on, because it could have been through a crash. And just like time can stress that plastic, a crash can really stress that plastic. And it may not be as safe for your child. So you want to have a known history of that seat. You want to make sure that all the parts and pieces are there. That's something that we could always help with and that sort of thing. But in a lot of cases, we're giving away hundreds of car seats every year within the valley, where I think we're able a lot of times to provide people with a safer seat. So before somebody goes to a used seat from an unknown source, I would have them check with the fire department, see if they're able to get a seat from us. When we take in used seats, a lot of times when we're replacing one that's not safe or expired, or the child's no longer using, what we'll do is we'll take it, we cut out the straps so it can't be used again, and then we'll recycle the frame.
Nice.
Yeah,
that's a lot of plastic in there. So
there is.
And cutting the straps, that's great. So that prevents anyone from using it.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you just never know. Used safety equipment is generally not a great idea.
Not the best.
Yeah, so.
Speaking of straps, people will come in sometimes and they say, I took it apart to wash it, and now I have this pile of parts.
Yes.
And that is even something that we can help with. So bring us,
I've been there.
Bring us your parts, and we can help you with that reassembly and make sure it's safe to put back in your car.
Excellent.
Yes.
Excellent, excellent. So we can pop by anytime.
Absolutely. Sometimes people want to call and say, hey, can I come by? But we have, I believe now we have 9 or 10 techs at Cottonwood. They have several at Verde Valley. Sedona has some. Camp Verde has technicians. And all those people have been through the class that's 3 to 4 days long. It's pretty intensive. It's all about car seats. It's all about safety and how to properly restrain children. And they're all ready to help. So some of those departments prefer that you make an appointment ahead of time, but at Cottonwood you can just stop by. We should always have somebody there that's able to answer your questions.
Well, that's great to know, Ben. We're going to take another quick break. Make sure you check out the Cottonwood Fire Department's Car Seat Safety Clinic from 9 to 12 on Saturday on 6th Street. We'll be right back, so don't go anywhere.
What does it look like when a life is truly changed?
I feel a sense of accomplishment because I built a house. This house has brought us financial independence.
It's a great place to raise a family.
Strength, fuerza, When I look back where we've come from to where we are today, it makes my heart very happy.
Potential. Potencia.
For me, this house means all of us together. So, together.
Security.
Security.
Every family dreams to have their own house. This house changed our lives.
Habitat for Humanity is at work in your community and around the world. Through shelter, we empower.
We develop quality citizens who keep our core, our country, and our communities side by side on the winning side. Not for glory, but for honor. For a code that isn't written or spoken, but lived. It's what we do. It's who we are. It's the battle cry of our fighting spirit. Battles won. See all the battles Marines fight to win at marines.com.
And welcome back to Countywide. Just a few minutes left. We're talking with Ben Kramer, firefighter, paramedic, and car seat technician for the Cottonwood Fire. Okay, so if I was to come in and say, hey, can I get a car seat check, or come to the clinic, what can I expect? How much time am I going to devote to this?
Well, there's some important things that we would want to have there. Ideally, you have the seat that you want checked, or if you need a seat, you don't have one, that's fine as well. But it's a lot better. We can do a more complete check if you're able to bring your child with you, because then we can fit the harness, etc. But in general, if somebody comes in to have their seat checked, you say, I have it in there, I think it's okay, or we just got it, I just want to have it checked. You can expect, 15 to 20 minutes to have us take a look at the seat. We'll usually take a look at how you've installed it, and then we'll take it out. We'll double check, we'll make sure it's not recalled, we'll make sure that it's not expired, etc. We'll talk about placement in the vehicle, and then we'll show you how to put it back in, and then you can practice putting it back in that way. We can talk about the two different ways to put it in, either with the seat belt or the lower anchor, the latch system. And so we get you comfortable with putting it in yourself and how that would work, answer any questions that you have, and then we talk about fitting the harness to your child, and if they're there, we can have them test it out and everything else. And that's pretty much it. So it's a real quick procedure a lot of times, and we're able to talk to people and get them back on the road fairly quickly. It's not something you have to devote half a day to. Sure. If you don't have a seat, then we're going to talk about the child and fit it to them and get the right one installed, and we'll talk about some of those next steps, So if somebody, has a child who's at that 18, 19, 20 pounds, we want to talk about what's going to happen when they hit 22, which could be a week later or 6 months later, But we want to talk about some of those things. But they can expect, to have all their questions answered about car seats, to understand what the problems were with the install, how a better install would work, and be able to practice that themselves, and then to get a new seat if they need one. A lot of times people aren't using. Other common misuses are, somebody gets in there and they say, well, I'm going to get this in right, and they use every single strap on the car seat, they use every seat belt, they use everything, and it looks like it's plastered in the back of that seat, and that's actually not as safe.
Sure.
We don't want to use those multiple straps that can actually, during crash tests, tear a seat in half. So you think about that. You don't want that in your vehicle. A lot of people aren't using the top tether that tethers the back of the seat to reduce head excursion. Important. So we want to use all of those. But yeah, people can expect to come by, spend 15 to 20 minutes, to have that seat checked, and then a week or two later, if they want to stop by and say, hey, we want to double check it, we can always do that again.
Okay, excellent.
Yeah,
my
absolutely.
kid gained a lot of weight, or
a seatbelt stretch over time.
Oh.
So you get it in tight, and a week later it'll be loose.
Oh, how interesting.
And 2 weeks later it'll be loose.
Oh,
and after that it's probably kind of settled out. But even those straps, you know, meant to be mostly static, they will stretch over time.
Oh my gosh,
so we
the
do want to
things
double
we
check
need to know
those.
about, Ben. Thank goodness
That's
for
right.
you.
That's right.
So check out the Car Seat Safety Clinic that's happening on Saturday from 9 to 12 at the Cottonwood Fire over on 6th Street. Of course, anytime, give them a call. If you want to pop by and check it out, no problem. Thank you for the service, the free service to the community, free car seats, free boosters. You guys are amazing.
Absolutely.
All right, that's all the time we have for Countywide. We'll see you again next time.